Good evening, friends. Meeting again in the Materia Medica session. And day before yesterday, we have finished half part of the Ignatia Amara. We have discussed one case of hysterical epilepsy. And it was an interesting case in my practice, completely solved with the help of Ignatia and a psychotherapy. Today, before going to the remaining part of the Alinsky notes regarding the Ignatia, I will share one more case of a migraine. She was a young girl around 22 years of age. She brought to me in a severe headache condition, and she was diagnosed by a neurologist as a case of migraine. She had a very severe headache, and someone is as if nailing something inside the head. Very severe one-sided headache. One interesting thing which was there, which was mentioned by the patient's relative, she was not in a condition to answer the questions properly, looking very sad, depressed, disturbed. So, one of the patient's relative, either a brother or someone, who said, "Doctor, I'm a smoker, and whenever I used to smoke, she gets very severe headache. She asks me either to leave or either she runs away from that place." That was interesting for me. I was knowing that Ignatia is the remedy for who doesn't tolerate the smoke, tobacco smoke. But that was one thing. I was considering why she was depressed. Okay, agreed. 6 months migraine is there. But why so much of depression? Asked regarding it to her. She was not in a mood to answer. She was absolutely in a silent mood. Then I asked the relatives to sit outside. I want to discuss with her. I want to talk with her. Then the relatives agreed to sit outside. So I started with the conversation with her. What is the problem? Why do you are so depressed? If you'll tell me, it will remain between you and me. I will not share that with anyone. But tell me the reason why you are so much depressed. A simple question, direct question, depending upon the situation asked. And just after I put that question, she started weeping. She started weeping so loudly. And then she started explaining, "Doctor, what has happened in my life? I don't want to lie. I'm so disturbed." So I asked, "What has happened? What's the matter?" She, she said, I was engaged with one fellow. It was arranged marriage. It was betrothal was done 6 months back, a big one. And we are very close to each other. Only thing was remaining that the date of marriage was not fixed, and I'm in deep love with that fellow. What has happened, we don't know. There was a call from their family that this marriage will not happen. My father asked regarding all those things. They said, "What is the?" They said, "What is the matter? What is the problem?" They have not answered the things, but the day they said no, this disturbed me a lot. I collapsed absolutely. How can this happen? I was really in love after that betrothal with him. And thereafter, I started getting a severe headache. I used to get breathless many times. I remains in one mood continuously. I weep alone whenever I'm alone. In front of my parents, I can't, because if I weep in front of them, they will collapse. And that's why whenever I'm in the bathroom, I used to weep. And since then, my life has disturbed. I was not so angry, but now the things have changed. Slightest contradiction irritates me. I'm having a habit of taking a coffee since childhood. But nowadays, I have increased the quantity of coffee. Daily, 2 times, 3 times, I'm taking the coffee. Temporarily, after taking coffee, I feel relaxed. But what has happened after taking the coffee, my stomach, abdomen has disturbed. I'm getting severe constipation. And whenever the headache is there, many times I suffer from constipation. There is one more problem with me. Wherever I used to go to for traveling, I get a constipation. And this thing is not going from my mind. Every off and on, the same incidents comes in front of my mind, and then I gets disturbed, and then headache gets provoked. So whole story was revolving around the disappointment in love, because from her mm, from her side, she was absolutely deep in love with that fellow. So this is the story of the case. So elements from disappointed love, that was first important thing. Cannot tolerate the tobacco smoke. Second important point. Third important point was constipation, traveling while or riding on a carriage. Third point. Fourth, constipation in habitual coffee drinker. That was the fourth point in the case. Then dwells on past disagreeable things, brooding over the imaginary things, desires to be alone, never wants to get mixed, weeping alone when. All things were pointing towards the Ignatia. So basically, I have decided to give her Ignatia. The pain was also very striking, to one-sided, as if someone is drilling with the nail. So I have given the Ignatia in high potency. I have given 1 m potency, 3 doses of Ignatia for 1 day and another day, and they asked meet me after 15 days. And after 15 days, she was a different girl. She came out of that grief. She was in a very good mood when came for follow. The remedy worked so beautifully in her case that after within 15 days, only on day 1 she had the headache. Thereafter, she never had a second attack of headache. And she is enjoying the life. She started enjoying the life. So this change has happened so suddenly because it was an acute grief which was there and which was troubling her. And she was not in a condition to accept the situation. Ignatia made the change, and with Ignatia, she started accepting, yes, this can happen. If one understands that this can be possibility, there might be some reason, but this can be a possibility. If one understands it, then definitely one comes out of the situation and one comes in reality. Ignatia brought her again into the reality, and that's why she recovered from such a grave migraine condition. Even migraine was not working in her case, but Ignatia worked so nicely. So we have discussed many things on that day. Let us open the Alinsky notes, the part 2. I think we have finished on page number 144, the bad effects of anger, grief, or disappointed love, like Calcarea for Cyosamus, broods in solitude over the imaginary troubles. This is thing of Netermure and Ignatia more commonly. Desires to be alone. These are the persons who want to remain alone. Finally, sensitive mood, delicate consciousness. very sensitive, in a very active mood. They are delicate. The consciousness is delicate, and because of which they get affected very easily. They are inconstant, impatient, irresolute, quarrelsome. They are restless. They cannot decide, irresolute, cannot come to the decision. They cannot remain in patience. So sensitive, active, because of which they never remains in patience. Inconstant, moving here and there, changing. Quarrelsome. The quarrelsome mood is because of contradiction. Slightest contradiction makes them quarrelsome. Amiable indisposition, if feeling well. Amiable means they are yielding with others when they are in good mood, but easily disturbed by slight emotion, easily offended. And they get easily offended. Slightest thing affects them and they get disturbed. And once they get disturbed, they are absolutely irritable, angry. The slightest fault finding and contradiction excites the anger and imagine, and this makes him angry with himself. So there are very small things with which they becomes angry. And that angriness, which is with others as well as with himself. Something is wrong with them, they considers, and they starts getting angry. Children, when reprimanded, scolded, or sent to bed, get sick and have a convulsions in sleep. So sensitive child that when you scold them, when you reproaches them, reprimand them, they get so disturbed that they goes into the room, sleeps, and during sleep they get an attack of convulsion. See how the dynamics converts into the disease. When sensitive remedies, you get such types of features quite commonly. Naxomica is sensitive, chamomilla is sensitive, the belladonna is sensitive, this coffea is sensitive, the remedy which we are discussing, Ignatia, is sensitive. So sensitive remedies, whenever certain things happen, that penetrates, and that penetrates many times towards the brain also. So this is quite common with the Ignatia. Ill effects from bad news. This is very common. Some bad news comes and they becomes absolutely disturbed. Ill effects from vexation with reserved displeasure. They get angry with themselves. They get angry because of something, but they never expresses it. They keeps it inside, reserved. They keep that displeasure. They never like that situation, but they keeps it inside. Ill effects from suppressed mental suffering. So whatever the emotional things happens, they gets suppressed, and because of which the patient gets more and more disease. Ill effects of shame and mortification. That is another thing. Ill effects of shame, shamelessness. Something has happened. Someone has scolded. Someone have reproached them, and they considers it's an mortification, like a staphyagria, like a colosine, and they goes into a aggravation phase. See the headache. Headache as if nail was driven out through the side, relieved by lying on it. Kopya, Naxomika, Thuja. This is the common symptom. Very commonly happens to be there with these remedies. Very similar symptom you can get. But here the modalities are very essential. Here, see what he says. Cannot be a tobacco, smoking, or being in tobacco smoke produces or aggravates the headache. A characteristic feature of the Ignatia. They cannot tolerate the smoke. The reaction comes instantaneously. If someone is smoking, they goes out. They never remains at that in that situation, in that place. This is very typical with the Ignatia. In talking or chewing, bites the inside of cheek, and this is quite common. This is many patients tells us that, doctor, while eating or while chewing, I used to bite the cheek. Think of Ignatia. Sweat on face on a small spot only while eating. So there is sweating only on nose, only on forehead, on in a specific spot and it happens to be there only during while eating, then it is definitely Ignatia. Oversensitiveness to the pain, coffea, chamomilla, naxumica, these are the remedy, pain remedy. Ignatia is one of them. Constipation from carriage riding, constipation of a paralytic origin, very important feature. Constipation with excessive urging, felt more in upper abdomen like veratrum. Constipation with great pain, dreads to go to the closet. Constipation in women who are habitual coffee drinkers. Very important symptom of ignition. They used to drink a lot. They used to take coffee off and on and suffers from constipation. So many times they suffer from even hemorrhoids. And hemorrhoids are so painful. So that is another feature which one must think Ignatia in hemorrhoids. Prolapse ani from moderate straining at the stool, stooping or lifting, like nitric acid, like podophyllum, like Ruta. Prolapse ani aggravated when the stool is loose, contradictory symptom. When constipation, the prolapse ani aggravates, it is a common symptom. But whenever stools are loose and there is a prolapse, then it is contradictory and characteristic. Hemorrhoids with prolapse with every stool have to be replaced. Sharp stitches shoot up the rectum like nitric acid. Hemorrhoids aggravated for the hours after stool like retania, sulfur, again acid nitric. Twitching and jerkings even of spasms of single limbs or whole body when falling asleep. So this is the twitching fasciculations you can catch on the patient's body whenever they are in sleep. The jerking happens to be there. The pain in small circumscribed spots like oxalic acid, like calibichromicum, these are very important remedy, pain in small spots. Fever, the red face during chill. So whenever patient in chill states, the face becomes red like ferrum. The chill with thirst, during chill only. So thirst only during chill. Generally, it is a contradictory. During chill, no one gets thirst, but here patient gets thirsty, and exactly opposite happens. Whenever patient is in a stage of heat, ameliorated external heat, heat without thirst. So see contradiction, chill with thirst and heat without thirst, exactly opposite. Aggravation by covering. So fever aggravated by covering, Ignatia. Fear ameliorated by covering is Naxomi. Complaints written at precisely the same hour. Ignatia bears the same relation to the diseases of women that the nux does to the sanguine bilious men. So Ignatia is commonly called to be a female remedy and nux is male remedy. There are many more Ignatia persons in North America than Naxomica persons. This is Herring's observation. Relationship, the incompatible remedy, the coffea, Naxomica, and tabacum. See the closeness. Coffea is so sensitive, Nux is so sensitive, tabacum is so sensitive. All sensitive remedies and they are incompatible with each other. All pain remedies, they are incompatible with each other. So when they are close to each other, having the similar action generally becomes incompatible. When they are absolutely having opposite modalities, then they becomes complementary. This is the thing one must understand. Complementary is that this part is not covered by the another. The part of the remedy is not covered, is covered with the complementary remedy. So in complementary, the symptoms are opposite. They are not similar. In case of incompatible, they are always similar. Bad effects of Ignatia are antidoted by pulsatilla. Hint. This is very important hint. One must know. Complementary to this remedy is natramur, or it is also called to be chronic of Ignatia. The action is 9 days. General modalities. Aggravation is from tobacco. Aggravation is from coffee, the brandy. Then aggravation by contact, aggravation by motion, aggravation by strong odors, aggravation by mental emotions, aggravation by grief, So many modalities are there because the remedy is so sensitive. Amelioration is warmth and hard pressure like cinchona. Amelioration by swallowing, amelioration by walking. So these are the features with which we can recollect the Ignatia. We have learned many aspects of Ignatia. Alan has very thoroughly explained all those features, but still my suggestion to all of you, go through the Boix Materia Medica, learn remaining aspects of the Ignatia, so it will become fixed in your mind. So basically the action of Ignatia is generally an acute 9 days, and that's why the acute grief, the acute bad news, acute mental trauma, acute emotional trauma, the reaction which happens to be there at the level of brain, generally the Ignatia is one of the important remedy, in fact the first remedy to be think of. If the patient goes into this area, it is always to be a first remedy to be think of. So we have learned regarding the Ignatia and we have finished Ignatia. We'll meet again on Monday with another remedy. Till that, good night. If you have any query, yes, we can discuss. Otherwise, we'll complete. So thank you. Thanks, everyone. And good night.
Sir. Shall I call you after this meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.